for millennials, right? For us, I feel like we're in a tricky place because it's like we're kind of like the old folks, but also like the young folks. So it's like,
I also think with the first generation is always the generation that has to do the translating, the educating, and all of that, right? So in essence, my son won't have to do what I had to do for my mother. But where I went wrong with my son is I didn't teach him how to speak Spanish.
Damn, he's a yo no sabo kid.
Yes, he is a yo no sabo. And he always tells me like, I wish I knew the songs, I wish I knew and I messed it up. Welcome back.
Welcome back, sis. Look at you, looking beautiful with the bun.
We matched today.
We do.
We look like primas.
For real though, we really do match. Black, white with a little touch of sazon. This is Soul y Sazón. Boom. Get it? You know what I just realized? Karol G just came out with her album. We had the colors first.
We sure did.
Just in case somebody get it twisted, okay? She got her tropicoqueta going on, but we had the colors.
With the tambores.
Right.
Wait till our pictures come out.
Right. They ain't ready. We had that first back in April. Sis was probably working on this too back in April, but damn. All right. So what are we talking about today?
I want to talk a little bit about returning back to our homeland. Why do we miss it so much, right? Why is it that everybody wants to go back home? I remember like that was such a pivotal thing for my dad, right? Like I want to save all my money so I could go back home. And I'm like, you want to go back to the Dominican Republic, but all your grandkids are here. Like, you know, like, what are you going to do out there? And he's like, I just want to go home. And I remember he got his place and everything. And obviously he passed before he was able to live that. But this need to go back, this desire for them to go back. And it's crazy. Like I feel the most connected to my dad or to my family when I am in Dominican Republic.
Wow. Well, that's beautiful because that's the true roots right there, right? And I think that as much American as I could feel paper-wise, and because this is where I met my people and this is where I have my life and this is where I've been given great opportunities, there is this sense of me that will always say, I'm Dominican. That's it. I'm just Dominican. Like, there is nothing else that I can feel connected to.
Well, I think that's what when people ask you, like, where are you from? They usually say, well, I'm from New York, or I usually say I'm from Dominican Republic and I was raised in New York. I was born in New York.
Right.
And I think that you always identify where you're from. But why the desperate need to go back?
Right.
Why don't we feel connected? Well, obviously, we know why we don't feel connected to here because although we're from here, we feel like we're really from there.
Well, we were also raised very rich in culture. Like, I remember growing up, I used to go to DR every 2 years on the dot. Like, every 2 years. Yeah, well, that was like the big cousin trip for us. Granted, like, we had a lot of childhood memories that we were a part of, but also like a little with like separate cousins because our family's so damn big. Like,
well, also because our the way we're related is to our grandfather,
right?
Versus you were like also connected with your cousins that were from your grandfather and your grandmother,
my grandmother's side, right?
So that you were able to have those cousin trips, but that's everybody, right? So many of our first generation children would go back to the island,
right? Yeah, so I feel like that's what made us more connected. Like even my mom, like she would get us workbooks from DR so that we knew how to write in Spanish, so that we knew how to like spell, right? And I remember like tracing things. I will say I don't write with the accents. The accents are not it for me. But other than that, I do think that because I feel like I have the level of Dominican. I feel like I'm the most Dominican out of my friend group. Like, I feel like I could switch it up real quick. And I feel like my friends can't do it as fluently. Of course, they speak Spanish, but not like, vamos a hablar de tigueraje, vamos a hablar entre tú y yo aquí. Like, they don't, maybe it's not as profound. So I do, and not for nothing, because my mom don't even speak like that. I think that's just like the hood, the little hood in me, the razzle-dazzle hood in me that made it happen.
Neither does my mom. But my mom wasn't raised with the slang.
Yeah, they're very like, déjame decirte algo.
Tienen que ser las palabras muy fisna. Y tía Soli.
Come on, all the tias, they got it. If anything, I remember Tia Brita didn't even listen to bachata when I was little. Like, because Tia Brita is the youngest out of all the sisters. And Tia Brita, because she was the youngest, she would always take us, like all the cousins. We would do the photo shoot. She would take us everywhere. And Tia Brita was always the cool aunt because she was pretty. She had a body on her. She was the young one, pelo, like, right? So it was funny because she was like, yo no escucho esa música de gente de calle. You know, like, it was like, damn. And then I grew up like, put me some Anthony Santo, Luis Segura. Come on. Like,
Luis Valga.
Right. But this is the irony of the story, right? Is that so much of our childhood revolves around the fact that our parents came here trying to find something more because they felt that that was the sacrifice of life that needed to happen in order for them to have a family.
Well, I asked my mom, like, why did she come? Like, did you ever ask your mom why she came?
No.
And she said she came because she felt like my father wasn't of like affluential family, right? So she was going to struggle out there. And they came here with the idea of getting the better opportunity, right? That they all come here for, with the hopes to one day return because the life here was obviously such a fast pace, on the go, all the time, that they were like, nah, that can't be life forever. It's just temporary. So until we go back to where we can have the sun, the warmth, the freedom, the love, the culture. And yes, we still got the culture, thank God. But I mean, you lose it.
Right.
Like, you know, you could lose it easily.
And to think about it, when my mom and my dad, because fun fact, my mom and my dad are 18 years apart.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, girl. So when they got married, my mom was 24 and my dad was the opposite, 42. That's the funniest thing. She was 24 and he was flipped, 42. And when she met him, he had a life here already. He was already working here. Him and his brothers were here. So I'm assuming so, right? She came here because it was like, why not? The man that I love is already over there. And plus, I heard that America's where it's at.
Right. So he went there and saw her there.
Ellos se conocieron. Actually, I don't know if he had already met her from DR, but I knew that when they got married and stuff, he was already here. Like, he was settled. So, you know, he was living the New York, typical, like, immigrant New York life, right? So when I think about it, I'm like, damn, like, although it was such a beautiful thing, how much pressure do we feel? And did they feel? First of all, let's talk about the trauma behind coming to a country where they didn't know the language. They came here to work in a factory. First of all, my mom and my dad are both college graduates, and I'm very fortunate to say that.
Okay.
I'm very fortunate to say that. But even with my mom's degree, right? Because my dad already knew some English, but my dad even got a master's in New York. But my dad was communications. His life was radio, TV, and you already know how that worked. Networking, I mean, it's the same thing it is today. So he lived his dreams for a little bit, but he didn't make it to where he wanted to make it. But my mom had her degree in accounting, comes here, doesn't know English, doesn't know the language, has to learn, right? And everything is so hard. So to come here is like the ultimate sacrifice. So we get this pressure now as their kids of like, you got to make it worth it. Like, we already came here. We did this for y'all.
Yeah.
We did this for y'all. Yeah, we did this for us, but we did this ultimately for y'all because we didn't want you guys. We wanted you guys to have even more opportunity than we were able to have.
And I think that's the pressure, right? That we all feel. We all feel like they come over here. Ultimately, the ultimate sacrifice, they have to learn a whole new language, a whole new culture, community, right? And that's why most of them migrate to New York area, or, you know, they were migrating to the New York area because there was such a heavy population of Dominicans, right? Well, that's where my mom went. I don't know how it was. I know you're from here in Jersey, but they go to where they feel comfortable so they can go create life to give us the better opportunity. And what if we don't get it right? Or what if we feel like this guilt or this pressure of getting it right because ultimately they sacrificed it all?
Right.
So then we're supposed to get it right and in essence, give it forward back to them. So, and in the midst of it all, be their translators, their therapists, take up to their appointments. The pressure of like growing up, yet still being kind of like their parent in the process because they were in a community where they didn't understand. They couldn't relate.
Bro, as you're talking, I'm just like, oh my God, yes. Like, and I know so many of us are probably saying, yes, that was literally me translating for my parent. Absolutely. Making the doctor's appointment. I'm speaking on behalf of Belkis Cáceres. Like, come on.
At this point, I am Idelisa Cabrera.
Me llamo Idelisa. But the crazy part is that when I grew up with a lot of my cousins still in DR. So here it was me, my brother, G and Alex. And then over there, most of my cousins were still in DR. So growing up, most of my cousins were over there. So I felt crazy because I'm like, damn, like I don't feel that I fit in here, but I also don't feel that I fit in with my cousins. Like
over there.
Yeah, it's like ni de aquí ni de allá. And I really had to navigate that because at one point I was like, damn, only G and Alex know how we feel.
Correct.
But at the same time, G was born over there. Alex was born here. Me and OC were born here. Yeah. So I felt like there was still part of G that felt more Dominican. Shout out to G. We grew up like sisters. But in my mind, she was more Dominican than I was because she was born over there.
She also probably, maybe because she also spoke Spanish better. Yes. She knows how to read it better, write it better. Because when you get educated through the Spanish language, is different than us learning what our parents taught us, but we never educated ourselves in Spanish.
Right.
We didn't have to write sentences or paragraphs,
Correct.
So you always feel like this disconnect, like, no soy de aquí. Porque no me siento que soy de aquí, right? Because I feel so connected to my Dominican culture and my roots, but yet I'm not from over there because I don't know the history the way they know the history. I didn't educate myself in Dominican Republic. I don't know the streets the way you know the streets. I don't know where the towns are the way you know where the towns are.
Did you feel like a fraud sometimes?
Yeah, like you go there and you're like, yeah, we're from here, but girl, don't ask me how to get nowhere. Put that on the GPS.
Calle San Cristóbal, a la esquina de qué sé yo quién. I'm like, where? By Helado Bon? I know where that's at.
Things like that they'll say, and then you're like, ay, yo no sé, you don't know any of that. And you feel like, damn, you missed out on that.
Yes.
And why is there this need of going back? And it's because I think low-key we don't belong, right? We feel like we don't belong here. Although this is nobody's, right?
That's a conflictual topic, especially nowadays. I feel like more than anything, the younger population today is feeling like the millennials that are now in their 30s and 40s or whatever. We're both considered millennials.
Yes, I made the cusp. Some people.
Don't get it twisted. She made the cusp. So for millennials, right? For us, I feel like we're in a tricky place because it's like we're kind of like the old folks, but also like the young folks. So it's like...
I also think with the first generation is always the generation that has to do the translating, the educating and all of that, right? So in essence, my son won't have to do what I had to do for my mother. But where I went wrong with my son is I didn't teach him how to speak Spanish.
Damn, he's a yo no sabo kid.
Yes, he is a yo no sabo. And he always tells me like, I wish I knew the songs. I wish I knew and I messed it up. I did.
Well, I mean, hey, you can't get everything right.
I know. And it was easy. Like I could just had to speak to him in Spanish, but he understands more than he speaks.
I mean, not for nothing. That's my nephew and he's 4 years old. So... Osi, get it together. I've been telling him that for a while, him and Christine. But I could see the challenge. I could see the challenge, right? Especially because Christine's mom speaks English. So Christine, she does. Yeah, that's still her first language, but they're from Queens. So, and they were from Brooklyn originally. Like they lived in Brooklyn. So Christine's mom was in New York for a long time. So she actually learned the language. She speaks perfect English. And Christine's dad only speaks Spanish, and so does my mom. So the little bit Noah is getting is from Christine's dad and my mom.
Right, and it's words like leche, right, or like,
sala.
Little things like that.
But, and mom, I come in my mom all the time. She still doesn't want to accept it. I'm like, Mom, he don't know what you're saying. She's like, cállate, que él va a aprender. And she be giving him whole paragraphs like, no, ¿dónde tú pusiste? I'm like, Mom, he doesn't know what you're saying.
I know.
And she's like,
It's
él
so
va a
tough.
aprender, él va a aprender. Yo le voy a seguir hablando español. And I'm like, that's cute. Like, I love that. I love that. And you know what? You know what this just reminded me of? I should be speaking to him in Spanish because I can't be complaining and then also be engaging.
Yeah,
I speak to him in English too, but this is why I mean that is so much easier.
But why? Because it's for us, it was the language we educated ourselves in. Although Spanish was the first one that they taught us, the one that you are educating in is the one that you really learned first.
Yeah.
So it is easier perhaps sometimes for us to say it in English because I don't know really. But then there are times that you want to use that romantic, spicy, porque tú sabes que el hablar español es diferente, tú no se expresa mejor, uno dice la cosa y suena más lindo y una pasión y wow, you know. And then,
damn, okay, you sounded like Leah. Shout out to Leah, our cousin Leah.
You know, and I'm like, that's what the language does, and I love that we have that, and I wish that we can still keep some of that, especially with our kids once you're no longer first generation and they're second.
It's tough. It's tough because what I did tell them is, but why don't you put the cartoons in Spanish? And I don't know why that's hard too.
Yo, but have you seen the cartoons in Spanish?
No,
they be like, it's not the
that's
same.
what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's easy for me to say, but I haven't experienced it. So that's another thing that I very much fear in becoming a parent too, is like, I'm so proud of being Dominican that I'm just like, damn, am I going to do my kid wrong? Because are we going to talk to them in Spanish? Like, first of all, Gabe got no accent. Like, you don't even know where he's from, even though he's Puerto Rican and Dominican. But his accent is like Venezuela. Like, I don't even know. He just speaks Spanish. There's no accent to that man. So me and him, obviously, he learned his Spanish through like acting, and he has a background in acting and stuff like that. So it's a professional Spanish, but it still doesn't come fluently for him. Y yo hablo español or whatever, pero actually, I learned more Spanish. I've learned to get more professional in my Spanish through work because I would always get all my Spanish families in the therapy world.
Oh, I love that.
So they'd be like,
you have to learn like the therapy terms in Spanish,
you gotta learn the clinical jargon. Like, yo, did you know that disorder in Spanish is trastorno? Tú tienes un trastorno. I'm like, yo, am I dying? Like, that sounds crazy. Un trastorno de ansiedad. And I'm like, I would have never. I would have been like, un desorden, un disorder,
exactly.
un desorden. But un desorden is like a mess.
A mess, right.
So it's like, right. It's like, what are these things that we are, like, although we've lost so much, why does it still feel so potent?
Well, because I also feel like you bring the home to where you're at, right? What you want to remind our children is we bring the culture to the home.
Correct.
We bring the roots to the home. You got to educate them. What is our story? Where are we from?
Right.
Like, you know, what is your
Teach
story?
them about Trujillos.
Teach them about
ways.
Where they, like, you know, what happened? Like, where you from? Because then you're really not from here. You know, and that's why we yearn so much to go back, because everybody wants to feel like we're home. And that even, like, to me, it feels like you're home because it's warm. Like, you ever feel like your body changes when you're in the warmth? And that's because we're freaking from the island.
That's our blood.
We belong there.
Right.
And nos ponen aquí con este frío, esta nieve y este freaking de sol.
I was not made to shovel. Espérate. I was not made. So that's what I'm saying. Now with the younger population, I feel like now the millennials, because there's so much working from home ever since COVID, so many millennials are going back home. Like, whether home is whatever, Puerto Rico, moving to DR, like literally, I've known a couple people that are like, nah, I'm just moving. Like, 2 years ago, we went to Europe in the summer, and there's people that moved to Portugal, because life is just simpler. Because they say life is simpler, it's cheaper. There's not all this stress. So you start realizing as you get older that what really matters is it actually making money, because that's what our parents thought. When they came here, it was donde está el dinero, está la seguridad.
La oportunidad.
Donde está el dinero, está la oportunidad. And now we have that. And some of us, I mean, some of us are still money hungry. Let's keep it real. But some of us are like, damn, is that really happiness, mommy, papi? Like, y'all did all that, but ain't nobody here happy. You not happy? I'm not happy. So what were we really chasing? What were we really chasing?
I mean, when I did ask mommy, she did feel like I told you, that since my dad wasn't part of an affluential family, that he was going to make it more here. But at the end, they were still in search for that love, that peace, those roots that they were only going to get back from being back home. Perhaps we weren't getting what we were in search for. Perhaps they weren't, but maybe they felt like my daughter couldn't have gotten her master's in Dominican Republic. My son wouldn't have been a state trooper and have the accolades that he, has this far in his career, know? Like those opportunities were going to be better here. But at our core, we still want to go back. And even like when I take my son over there, he loves it over there. And how do you love something so much that you don't really know? So it's a feeling, is what you feel, is what your homeland does for you.
Also, I do agree with what you said in regards to, like, for example, like Osi does very well for himself, my brother. He's very blessed, and I love to see it. And the reason I don't say I don't, he works for corporate. It's just not the same as when you're working in the nonprofit world.
And financial corporate.
Yeah, so exactly. Financial corporate. So he's doing very well for himself. I see how many opportunities, like how many experiences Noah gets to have that we didn't have, and how much dedication they can provide because of work from home, because of, my brother's hard work and getting up there in corporate and being able to perhaps have more flexibility that our parents didn't have to truly spend time with his kid, taking him out. Like, I was just telling you that, right? That I love how my brother and my sister-in-law, they make times for themselves.
They parent well.
One thing they gonna do is they gonna have fun together without the kid, but they're also gonna have a lot of fun with the kid. But let's not cover, como dicen, no vamos a tapar el sol con un dedo. Like, that requires money. That requires well-being. That requires being financially stable, right? Which is something that I feel perhaps right now, today, if I had a 4-year-old like my nephew, I wouldn't be able to do for him. Right? So I'm like, had my mom and my dad not sacrificed, would my brother get to provide that for his kid today? So I do get that. And it's also like, for him, it's crazy because I always laugh and I say that my brother and my sister-in-law made each other more Dominican. Like, I feel like Osi was less Dominican before he met Christine. And Christine didn't even know, she barely knew Spanish. But after meeting Osi, I'm like, damn, y'all be knowing all of them, Bo. Y'all be watching all the videos. Like, I know.
All the gossip.
I am updated with the Dominican life today because of my brother and my sister-in-law.
I love that.
Like, I mean, granted, my mom also watched Alofoque Radio. But like, like for me, I'm like, I love that like within themselves, they found a way back also. But they love their life here. And they love going back whenever they want. So it's also like, what determines going back home? Going back home doesn't necessarily mean to live, but going back home perhaps means we have the financial stability that America gave us to be able to get that dose that we need from our roots whenever we want.
I also think that they bring the dose here. You ever been to the Heights or Dykeman or anything?
Yes,
when you go back to your
Villa Plátano.
And we have el ambiente.
Claro.
Uno lo trae. And then you want to cultivate in those environments and hang out in those, lounges or whatever, because you feel like the music, it's relatable. It's what you feel. It's like you feel like you're back home. But I wonder if back home is more like a symbol, like a symbolic feeling, like you have to return to feel like you're complete.
Right.
Like for our parents,
right.
Because maybe we don't feel that because we weren't, in essence, born there.
Right.
But I wonder if for them is, I gotta return home because in essence, that's where I belong. I don't feel like I belong here. Where we feel like, yeah, we belong here. Our roots are just not from here.
I mean, in the Trump era,
I don't know. Yeah, we gotta be careful now. You gotta walk around with your.
I don't think I belong here, unfortunately. But and I will very much. I'm obviously we don't get political here, but we are living in a place,
of course,
in a space in our lives where there are a lot of things that are being seen that have never been seen. I'm okay with opposing views. I've always been okay with it. Hello, my life is opposing views. Like, right. I love it. Playing devil's advocate, having different perspectives, but I think we're living in a different era than that at this point. So it's also like even more and so today more than ever, so many of us are like, damn, what if I would have just stayed in DR? I've heard so many people, I'm part of those people that have been like, you know what, if I get deported, I get, at least I go back home.
Well, you don't. That's the thing. I thought that they were only deporting the people back home, but they're not. They're not deporting them just to their home. They're deporting them to other places of the world. So one thing is for you to go back to your home, but imagine you get deported to like Venezuela.
Right.
Tú no conoces a nadie en Venezuela. Tú no tienes familia en Venezuela. Tú no. And that's
Mija, ¿qué tú haces en Venezuela?
My family husband.
Ay, qué rico. Honestly, I'm singing that song all day because Carol's album, she got us wanting to go to all the countries, okay?
And we'll find me a little papacito.
Yes.
But I do think that we just have to, as first generation, try our best for our children to still feel the culture here.
Yeah.
You know, as we live here, like it's important, like Christmas, how we celebrate Christmas, like what our traditions are from back home. And if we teach our children that, we still bring some of that culture here and cultivate that within our families here. But there's nothing like being home. I don't know if it's a feeling or I don't know, like a connection to the land. As crazy as that may sound, I feel the most connected to my dad when I'm in DR. I feel when you're at the beach is different. You know, the minute that you land, the sun, the energy, the air, it's nothing like being in your island.
The typical when you get to the airport and them tamboras and they greet you with the I'm just like,
you be like winding your waist right away.
And I think it's because we start realizing that home is really a feeling. It's not a place, right? It's the feeling that, like your environment really makes it happen. And it gives you the nostalgia. But even like, I'm thinking, right, like my hubby, he lived in Puerto Rico for a good amount of years, but he was raised by his Dominican side. So there were parts of him too that although maybe he didn't have as much of a street Dominican influence, there were still things that he was able to understand. Have you seen that trend of like, how am I going to marry a man that can't understand that daydreaming is the best drink ever? Something
Morir
like
soñando
that.
is the best drink, like, and you can't translate that because that means you're dying dreaming.
Right, like how do I explain to my man that I'm going to pay this con lo pelo del toto? Like... You know what I mean? Like, it's like there's certain parts of your culture that just make it home. Like, an automatic, like, you get me. Like, we're here, right? And not to say, like, I've dated men outside of being Dominican, but being able to be with a man that some of them, like I said, he don't understand all of the things. We had to explain a good amount of them so far. But that part of it, it was like,
a feeling of culture connection or something like
the feeling.
Music.
You get the feeling,
and that you can't probably explain with your words. It's just really a feeling that you feel. But I do admire those that come here with the hopes of returning home. And listen, after COVID, like you said, there's people out there working now, and not for nothing. I don't know if I could. I'm waiting for Elijah to go off to college. After that, I'm open to whatever. I'm open to living a whole other life in a whole other part of the world if it's going to provide stability, peace, none of this like fast paced, on the go, consistent, like, nah.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to like chill and smell the flowers.
Right.
Smell the ocean. Let them beach waves hit me in my thong bikini.
Let it hit them cheeks, okay? It's me and cheeks and God, okay?
That's part of the culture too, though. We're going to get them BBLs in DR. We're going to get those BBLs.
Not the BBLs in DR. Te pasaste, mi loca. All right, anyways, but that's fact, though. That's a fact.
That's part of the roots.
But... we have a point here that we said reconciliation in honoring our parents' journey and also pursuing our own healing. Because there's also certain parts of staying in the country. Granted, if there's anyone that keeps me woke, is Natalia, my youngest baby cousin. That's not really a baby because she's 19. But Natalia has shown me how much even in DR things have changed. She's lived there her whole life. And she's actually... in school to become a lawyer. Shout out to Nati. But I remember when she came, which is funny because she's part of the trilogy. Because when you first it was you, then it was Pam is Igualita Ochairita, and then Natalia was Igualita Pam, which in turn is Igualita Ochaira. Right. She's part of us. But it's also because she's so outspoken. And there was a thing about Nati.
And spoken very well.
Yes. And there was a thing about Nati that really struck me. And it was, she's so woke. Like, there's a tradition to her, right? There's that traditional Dominican to her for sure. But there's also that, like, modern, like, no. Like, it shouldn't be like that. Why are we treating the Haitians, all the Haitians, as if they all are trying to invade our land? Not all the Haitians feel like that. And she challenges her parent and her tias, and her tias might be like, yo, you're doing too much. That's not true. But she gonna have her opinion, right? In a respectful way. And I feel like, damn, that's like us, right? Like, I used to challenge my mom, and I still challenge my mom nowadays. There's a spice to her, but it's like, it's not just her. That young community, even in DR, so many young Dominicans know English.
Absolutely.
It's like a known, like, you're going to know English. Like, they're out there learning English.
I love the system that they have there too, because they educate like half English. Like, you go to school and half of your day is in English. Some schools, I don't know if these are the ones that are more elite or not.
More pristine, yeah.
But you go to school. So can you imagine going to school and you're learning half in English, and then boom, your next of your day is half in Spanish. If we adapted that here, all these kids would know Spanish already.
But that's why I said I think that America is known as the land of opportunity because historically that's just what it's been.
Correct.
But we're not doing enough research. I haven't done enough research to truly know
if this is the only place for opportunity.
Let's say, I mean, hey, it could be controversial, or it could be like people are like, why are you even bringing that up? And like I said, I haven't done enough research. I wouldn't know, but I'm just like, listen, and perhaps I think what happens is that there is opportunity in our lands, but you need to have money, right? Like, you need to be someone that is middle class to be able to have this half English, half, not even middle class, probably more than that in DR social status standard, or economical standard. But I feel like, yeah, there are these opportunities, but when you really compare them to here, and like, okay, there's more insurance here, but I have terrible medical insurance. Like, I'm still paying, but somebody might say, hey, that's better than what we have to pay here to get a treatment.
Right.
But then out of pocket treatment over there is cheaper than here.
But maybe they're not making the money you're making here.
And maybe you're waiting you're waiting from 9 a.m. and you probably won't get seen till 4 p.m. for a treatment over there. Then maybe here, where even when it's bad, you might start at 9, but you're still going to be seen by like 1 latest. So it's like, I get it.
Not even.
That there's certain
by
setbacks.
11, somebody's screaming if your appointment is at 9.
So I get it, right? There's certain aspects, but there's also certain aspects that I don't want us to forget. Our countries are really developing. Bro, the tourism in DR right now, shout out to Abinader, he is really making it happen. Like, the tourism, the hotels. Let's talk about Cap Cana. The development of all these rich, super really luxury. Oh my God, Samaná, La Terrena. The way that it's developed throughout the years, it has really allowed us to see that, okay, our country may not still be like this land of opportunity like America, but bro, people going back because they're like, hold up.
Well, and
but I think what's happening, sorry to cut you off, but I think what's happening the most is, I want to make American dollars, but take advantage of the Dominican lifestyle.
Of course.
So it's like there's people buying condos in Punta Cana because Punta Cana is very Americanized at this point, right? So it's like, I'm working from home, making the American shmoney, and then living in Punta Cana, where I get the beach, I get the condo, and perhaps the condo is still not as expensive as here. It's a better lifestyle daily, but I still get the finances that Americans get here. And unfortunately, that's something that some of us are not able to experience.
Right, yeah. Your money goes long there. So I think that was the other reason why they came. And you have to think about when most of our parents migrated, it was in the 80s. In the 80s, there was money here. There was money, there was jobs. Everything was like flowing. So everybody was coming out here. Yeah. Things were booming. But I don't know who told me this. I don't know. Recently, I had a conversation with somebody, and they said that they're building something in Dominican Republic. It has to do with the importing or the whole tariffs or whatever. that now they're doing something in DR where they're creating these warehouses or something where now they're creating all these jobs for what people are going to have.
Oh.
So many people are now going to have better jobs and things like that. And I think that's beautiful too, when your homeland gets the opportunity to make money and be better for the country.
I mean, both me and you, we went to school. We did what our parents expected us to do. We went to college. We got our degrees. I remember my mom would always be like, tú puedes ser una zapatera, pero una zapatera que fue a la escuela y se graduó de zapatera, right? Like, she was always like, as long as you get the degree and you educate yourself. And I will never forget one thing my mom has told me since I was tiny. And it was, a man can always take what you have, but never what you know.
That's powerful.
And that level of education that she felt I could get here, she just didn't feel I could get it in DR at the time. But where do we put the people that didn't go to school, where their parents did come here because that's what they expected? You decided college is not for you, and you want to be an influencer for a living. Or, I mean, this is more modern, right? But you
don't want to take the traditional route.
You go against, exactly. Like it was never even a question for me. Like, even if maybe it was because around the time I decided for college, not everyone decided to go to college, but mostly everybody went to college. So nowadays, you see more of that influencer, learning online, getting stuff, certifications online.
Because now people are more woke and they realize that whole, getting a degree and multiple degrees, it doesn't mean that you're going to be financially stable or successful or a millionaire. And some people feel like, well, look at these entrepreneurs. They invested in themselves. They poured into their cup and they became millionaires overnight with this great idea. And they didn't have these degrees and all this education, right? So this thing that you came to get for us, this opportunity, didn't even happen, right? Like you're saying, what if you do all the right things, you come over here for the opportunity, expecting for your kids to go through this process.
And your kid says, that's not for me.
That's not the process that I want. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're not successful, because you could be successful and not have a bunch of degrees and go to college and everything. And you can still take the opportunity, just a different route. But I guess you could be an entrepreneur everywhere, right?
But let's talk about it, because even culturally, right? When you talk about entrepreneurship, a lot of Dominican culture, they came here, and a lot of our parents were entrepreneurs, right? That wasn't my lifestyle, but I know so many, right?
El colmado,
la bodega store, or the hair salon, right? There was a hair salon that belonged to a Dominican woman in like every corner. So it's like, right, like entrepreneurship, where it started, right? And where we're at today with it. Like, I remember growing up, I didn't grow up around entrepreneurship.
Right, you had to get a job.
The minute that I got my degree, and then I told mommy, first of all, you already know, studying psychology, when I first told mommy I wanted to do psychology, she didn't beat my dream up, but she was just kind of like, psicología, okay, mija. You know, like, she was kind of like, all right, my daughter ain't gonna be rich. I'm gonna sleep on that. But even so, and then she was like, all right, well, whatever, you're getting a degree. And now, when I told her recently, right, when I started my coaching program, and I didn't know if I wanted to serve the system, because the system is very broken. And I will say is, because it still is, very much so. But it's a love and hate relationship that I have with my degree and what I learned. Sometimes I kind of beat myself up about, why did I choose to learn why did I choose to think differently than a lot of people? Because sometimes I feel like that hasn't done me right. Conversation for another day. But studying what I studied and wanting to go into entrepreneurship, having a degree, my mom just, I felt the energy. Maybe that's not how she never said safe. It was just kind of like, especially in psychology, or as a coach, una coach, you know what I mean? Sí. But it was like acceptable to become an entrepreneur if it was a liquor store or a hair salon or a trucker, right? Like, tantos hombres still nowadays que hacen and they make a good amount of money. But it's like, right? Like,
pero más aceptable para el hombre que la mujer, right? True. So now you're trying to, you have your accolades, you got your degrees and everything, and now you're trying to be this entrepreneur. And she's like, damn, more risk, but you're supposed to be the one that's taking less risk because you're the woman, and that's also cultural, right? Like, whether maybe you taking the risk of entrepreneurship might be the right in your relationship, because maybe that just works in the dynamic of you having that more, you know, ability to leap versus your partner. So it shouldn't be a sex thing, right? But it is in the culture. It's like, oh, okay, you have your degrees and now you want to be an entrepreneur. There's no safety in that. Un trabajito estable, que tú te consigues tu dinerito y tu segurito y toda tu cosa estable. Because for our parents, it was this stability.
Right.
We're going over there for an opportunity to be stable, for it to be good, which makes me think, was it not stable over there? Maybe perhaps, and during that time, it wasn't. And maybe now the times are better.
But let's talk about it. How much of stability really has to do with where you're physically located? Right? We've been talking about self-awareness for so many episodes. How many of our parents perhaps left their country because they said it was better here, but they were trying to run away from not being able to figure out certain things about themselves and their relationship and their families out there, and they were thinking that maybe coming here and switching it up or raising us in a, yeah, and people always feel that there's this like
a new start.
Yeah, like, oh my God, like I've had to tell so many clients that, like, I just got to move. Okay, but do you realize that there's this black cloud that you're carrying over yourself, that if you don't become self-aware of it and you don't heal from it here, you take healing as much as issues or whatever it is that you're working around, you will travel with that wherever you go. So is it really a location as much as it is, like we said, a feeling? Like we said, it's more of a state of mind, right? Ain't nobody gonna sit here and tell me that they're more Dominican than me. I feel as Dominican as ever. Speaking English, going to DR, maybe perhaps not every year. Like,
but I don't really feel as Dominican when I'm out there. Like, to them, they don't see us Dominican.
I still feel Dominican. But yo le tiro mi dominicano y a mí nadie me va a decir ni mierda.
Pero que para mí es como tú te sientes, como uno se siente. Tú ves, yo soy dominicana. Yo nací aquí, pero yo soy de allá.
Exactly.
You know, and that's how you feel. And I always tell Elijah, when Elijah will always say where he's from, I'm Dominican and Ecuadorian, but he always says Dominican first. So
why you had to throw that in there? That's petty. You petty for that. You're so petty for that. He always says I'm Dominican first, though. Just threw that in there so nonchalantly.
My roots are cooler.
Well, I think that even in us, like, as we're wrapping up conversation, it's like there's this question that we always like to leave people with for now, right? Of like, ¿qué significa hogar? Right? Is it a place? ¿Es una gente? ¿Es una emoción? Like, cuando oye la palabra hogar, right? True home. I think it has to do with my culture. I really think it has to do, it's crazy. Like, watching my nephew, like, signature as soon as he gets to my mom's house. Allá, I want farina. Just that vicarious memory of, like, I'm living vicariously through him, like that memory of me eating farina growing up. Or like pan con chocolate.
And mommy called it harina de negrito.
Harina negrito también. It's different. It's just, I think, the consistency,
but
right?
They called it harina de negrito because it was a black guy on the box. But I think
there's still a difference. I think, there was a black man on the box. But I think that the way they make it is still different. Farina from harina negrito. But it's similar.
It's like the texture might be a little. One is more thicker than the other.
One is more thicker, yeah. Pero even that is like, that's what does it for me, right? Those memories of, like, you remember Lupita? Lupita taking care of us when we used to go to my mom's house.
The diapers that were made out of cloth.
Yes.
Because I wasn't raised with the cloth diapers. We were raised here, right? So
she used to make us, there was like 12 plates of chocolate caliente con pan at Mama's house. And we'd all be in the terraza, like, comiéndose chocolate con pan. Those are the memories that I'm like, damn.
Mind you, Lupita was our age.
For real. Taking care of all these damn kids, all the grandchildren coming together.
She was more my age than you guys. You guys were younger, but she was a child too, herself. And that's the other thing of it, right? Like that's cultural too, that we had somebody there, like, watching over us, like the nanny.
Mm-hmm. A nanny.
And we don't have that here for multiple reasons. One, it's so expensive here, and it's not part of the normal culture where it was so common out there.
And we used to go out, like, we used to, like, run in the back, like, we'd all be together. Like, I don't know, I feel like so many of my great childhood memories have to do with my Dominican culture. that there is no way in hell that I would ever be able to say I'm anything else. Like, even though I was born here, and yeah, I'm grateful. What I will say is I'm grateful for the opportunities, which is exactly why my mom came here, right? I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've received here. But ain't nobody gonna like that.
Are you gonna go back?
I would love to go back. Actually, it's funny because Gabe, I'm surprised Gabe said this the other day. I actually didn't think that hubby would say that he'd want to move. Actually, when we went to Puerto Rico, we loved Puerto Rico. But the way Luma is set up in Puerto Rico, I don't know if you knew, but their biggest electricity company out there is crazy. Like, they're unpredictable. Ellos también se le va la luz.
Yeah.
Even though they're part of America.
Puerto Rico's going through some stuff. Yeah.
Puerto Rico's just been so disrespected by American territory for so long. But
they were better off not being Commonwealth, I believe.
I love Puerto Rico, right? We loved Puerto Rico. We still love Puerto Rico. Like, at this point, and I'm marrying a man that's Puerto Rican, like, that's right here. And they're our cousins. Like, come on. Like, we're so similar. But, like, then he actually said the other day, he's like, you know what, babe? And this was real random. He's like, babe, like, if we're financially in a place where, like, you're working from home, or, like, maybe you're living your best life, you're living your dream of, like, public speaking, of coaching, and you're able to do your job virtually, and we travel with our family, which is what I would always love. Like, I love those public speakers that get to travel and they bring their kids and they're touring with their family, and their husband is there and their kids are there. And he said, would you ever want to move to Punta Cana? And I looked at him, I said, boy, what? I'm surprised that came out of your mouth, because I've been ready to go to Punta Cana. I always said I was either going to be a therapist or an event planner. Okay. I love planning events, and I would love to, like, plan weddings and stuff like that. You know, Tiabrita does that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, if I ever get deported, I'm starting a company with Tiabrita over there.
You have that. There's a few cousins of ours that has that touch of, like,
aesthetic.
Yeah. Mildita's like that too.
And Alexandra's like that, right? Because believe it, we're all from the same family, grandpa, right? But there's this, like, I mean, from your side, right?
Yeah.
Hey, but yeah, like, no, I just feel like there's just this part of us that's always going to be sensitive to that, and it's thanks to the childhood memories and the opportunities that our parents gave us, where they brought us here, but they still very much filled our childhood with
Dominican culture
and upbringings.
And I love that. I think that that's what they were very I don't know if they were intentional in that, but that's what happened. I do want to say that you said, what is it? ¿Qué significa hogar para ti? To me, you said that you immediately think of Dominican Republic, right? To me, it's a sense of a feeling. Like, you ever walk into a place and you feel like, yo, this house feels like home. But home is all of that. Is culture, is what you're taught about your roots. It's the way that you love. It's the way that it's your traditions. Hey, ¿tú quieres un cafecito? ¿Tú quieres un chin de postre?
The breakfast that have to be made. Like, I can't have y'all come over
and not serve
and have a banquet. Like, it's a celebration. It's a celebration every time we link up. Like, truly,
it's like that. And I think that those things that we bring to our homes is what allows our homes to feel like a home.
Yes.
So it's beautiful. I hope that we're still able to give that to our kids, and that our kids still can give that to theirs. Because, you know, you kind of lose it winds down. But Elijah has gone to Dominican Republic a few times, so I've kept that tradition
right going. Yeah, and at least he has that connection, and he says he's Dominican first. Let's not forget.
You already know.
All right, prima. What a beautiful conversation. Honestly, this was so nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Vámonos pa Santo Domingo.
For real. And this makes me want to pack right now. I'm going to be there in August for my honeymoon. But still, like...
Oh, that's dope. I didn't know that's where you were going.
Yeah, so we're going... Because we wanted to make the wedding and this wedding experience... actually, we wanted to make it very centered in our roots. So... a lot of the things we're going to use in the wedding are very Dominican and Puerto Rican. And that's why we decided at the time, I don't know, we may have changed the plan, but at the time we were like, oh, maybe we want to try to make baby number one in DR during the honeymoon. So I'm just like, if our wedding was going to be in Puerto Rico, it was a given for us to do our honeymoon in DR. And
Smart.
really,
It's also cost efficient.
Yeah, it's cost efficient. It's right there, and it's really deep rooted in a big part of our identity, which is, I think me and him really connect on that. Like there's this sense of there is a very strong connection I have to my roots, but perhaps I don't want to lose it when it comes to raising a kid. So I want to really connect that in our life that we build together. I want to make sure that we bring that forward at all times.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we wanted to enter that part of our life together.
That's beautiful.
So yeah.
Con mucho color y mucho sabor. Yes, honey.
Can't wait to get to Punta Cana. But even so, and then Punta Cana is already like, all right, everybody does it. Like, I really want to make a trip with my girls. Two of my line sisters, actually. They're never very deep rooted. No, they're actually more into their ancestral roots, like Anacaona, like
okay.
They about that life, and I love that, and I get inspired by them all the time. And I'm like, y'all got to take me to DR and do some soul searching DR trip of our roots. So,
invítame.
Yes, let's go. Let's get saucy. What do you think?
Let's get saucy. You ready for me?
All right, sis. Let's go. It's saucy time.
Saucy.
Hey.
What part of your identity do you feel most disconnected from? And how would going back home help you reclaim it?
I think that there's, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we got to ask Natalia and Maureen this, who are the younger cousins. But I think that there's this sense of social connection that has been very lost in America, that I feel like has not been, at least I don't think has been lost in DR. In regards to people talk more, people hang out more with each other. There's not so much like, I don't know, like tanta malicia. Granted, right? Like our countries, people would say like, una delincuencia, da-da-da-da,
It's all relative to time. But our parents were saying that when we were growing up.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's a social aspect and the lifestyle. Like I feel like in DR, like people appreciate the little things a lot more. The sun, resting, right? Something so simple like maybe sleeping, right? And I don't know. I feel like there's a certain part of me that lost that, because I'm not going to lie, like graduating as a therapist and having to live life with therapist money and therapist finances makes me very scared and fearful for my life, right? My future, what I'm going to offer my kid, what I'm going to offer my family. But I'm like, would I have even cared about that had I been in DR? Would I have cared about that? So that's part of my identity. And I'm like, truly, lifestyle-wise, I'd rather live in a beach house and not have a lot of money. Like in a beach house in DR.
My girlfriend always says that. One of my girls says that.
Than be here, making it, living in a mansion. I don't know. Like I always feel like if I had to choose, granted, ideally I'd have it all, right? I'd have property in multiple places where I could just travel, right? But if I had to choose, knowing everything that I know now, I don't know. I feel like the beach in a little hut house, we have everything we need, granted. Like, I ain't talking about, like, pobre, but...
No, yeah.
In a nice space that only me and Gabe need with, maybe 2-3 rooms, but it's like un ranchito, whatever. We get to listen to the gallos. Like, things like that. I feel like I've learned to appreciate that so much more as I've gotten older.
Yeah.
And as I've learned that perhaps being raised in America and being an adult in America nowadays in 2025, is that really what I aspire? So I don't know.
No, that's kind of where I go. The stresses of life too, right? Like living here, I think one of the things you said was you go back, you want to reclaim a sense of like a stress-free life, more peace, more listening to the birds or whatever it may be, the things that we might not get here as quickly or as fast. My line sister always says, I'd go live in Puerto Rico y vender frío. ¿Tú sabes lo que es frío? Esa vaina que uno hace with the ice.
Lo yun yun.
Right. She's like, I would sell that and live in a little house on the beach.
Wow.
And it's the simplicity of the fact that she really didn't need much out of life, just a little home, some peace, some waves, some sun.
And it's crazy because our parents thought we wanted more than that. And here we are. Which brings it to my question, because we are very much in running out of time. But such a great topic. What's one way this country has failed your parents, even though they gave it everything?
Damn, I wish my father would have gotten educated here. And I don't know if he did it because of the lack of knowledge or because he didn't have the financial support, right? So he couldn't pay for it. So in essence, it had to be some sense of free. But would he have gotten free education? I don't know in that time. So did they not tap into the resources that they had? Because I feel like they didn't get the education that they should have. And although education is not everything, my father was self-taught and he was so successful, self-taught.
But did the government, like when he was sick, when he became sick, do you feel the system
when he was
him?
young, like when he got here and he came here.
No, but I'm saying even now, like when after all the years he worked here, do you feel like he was given the treatment, the benefits?
Yeah. I don't think that I think that, that the treatment that they gave him, I mean, he died of cancer. So, and it was a type of cancer that they're still trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work and things like that. So I do think that the system didn't fail him in that way, but I don't know if he had the same resources due to the lack of education. And were you not educated because of your choice or because the system didn't provide it for you?
Correct. Wow. That is a great point of reflection for a lot of us, right? Where even the ones that agree with how the system failed our parents when they were young and got here and how our system has failed our parents older, right? Because I feel like the system has failed my mom as she got older and needed some resources.
But did she work
medically? Yeah.
She worked through she
was a loan processor for many years.
Dang.
Yeah.
So she put in her time.
Oh yeah, she put in her time. She put in her time. But hey, a whole conversation for another day, and we would love to obviously hear other people's stories. But what a beautiful convo, Prima, and especially to have with you. And you know what's crazy is that we're even learning more about ourselves through this podcast. Because believe it or not, although we're primas, there were still a part of us that grew up separately. There were a part of us that grew up close, but a part of us that grew separately. So I'm glad that through this,
we get to know each other more.
Absolutely. I love you so much.
Love you too, boo.
Thank you guys.
Long time.
Yes. Bye.
Our parents left everything behind to give us opportunity, stability, and a future. And now we're here, trying to understand what home even means in a world that doesn't always feel safe or welcoming. We carry their sacrifices in our bodies, but we also carry a longing for culture, for community, for a place where we feel seen and understood. Maybe wanting to go back isn't about geography. Maybe it's about returning to who we are, nuestras raíces, nuestro idioma, nuestra gente, and a sense of belonging. This conversation is for anyone who feels caught between gratitude and grief, between the life we were given and the life we're trying to build. This is Soul y Sazón, where the flavor of the world blends with the stories of the heart. Keep showing up with soul and lots of flavor, honey. Love you. Long time.